It's time for a spring TBR, halfway through spring. So let's just get right into it. I'm going to be presenting these in no particular order, but the first one I'm going to be talking about is Typhoon by Kassira Shiraz, which I think is going to be really interesting. It's set in Pakistan, so I think it's going to be one of the first fiction books set in Pakistan that I've read since starting this channel, which is going to be nice. And it's about these women who are in a village that is, for lack of a better term, backwards. I mean, far better. In the blurb they say Chiragpur is a Pakistani village warped in time. I think that's a far better way of describing it. It looks really interesting. I think it's going to be a really heavy read, and I think it's going to be a bit of a difficult one to get through, but yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. I think I just saw this in a bookshop in Bristol, and I just was like, oh, this looks interesting, so I picked it up. Up next is Battle Royale by Caution Tamaki. It's a tomb of a book, isn't it? It's about 600 pages. If you don't know Battle Royale, it's kind of the book that kind of kicked off this trend of, well, Battle Royale fiction, stuff like the Hunger Games probably were inspired by this. Fortnite, again, based off Hunger Games. It's a death games, Battle Royale, where these students are taken to this island where they have to fight it out to the death. It was banned in Japan for being way too violent, and although that's really scary and spooky, I think it's the first book I'm going to have read in a very long time where the premise isn't something that's really deep emotionally or isn't non-fiction stuff. So although it's 600 pages and it's kind of a departure from the kind of stuff I normally read, I think I kind of need something like this, not for the violence obviously, but for more so that just that I don't want to say light-hearted read, but a read that isn't going to make me have to think too emotionally deep about stuff. I think. I might be completely wrong. I've not read anything about this. But yeah, Battle Royale. Thirdly is Five Little Pigs by Agatha Christie. I adore Hercule Poirot. I grew up watching the David Suchet show that was on ITV. I love Poirot, but I've only ever read one Poirot book, so I thought, let me just read another. I've watched the David Suchet version of this, so I know what happens more or less, but I wanted to read more Poirot, so here we go. And I'm going on holiday in a week's time, so this might be a good book to take for the flights. So yeah, I'm actually very excited to read this one, and just because I absolutely adore Poirot. And that was a departure from the usual kind of stuff I read here, but this TBR, I feel like I want it to be a little bit different, which I'll talk about later. And finally, we have Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, which is a book I believe everyone was reading last year, maybe in 2021. It, is very critically acclaimed. People love this book. It looks like it's going to be a very deep, insightful book, a very deep story. So it might be one which is going to make me sad as well, but it's a different kind of sad that I usually get from reading books, because normally I'm reading non-fiction, which just makes me sad about the world, but this time it's the plot that's making me sad, although it's set on the backdrop of a world that is very sad as well, so I think I'm going to cry, but, at least it's about a book that's fiction this time. But yeah, this is the one I think I'm most excited about reading. I'm probably going to read this last, depending how long it takes me to read the other books, because I want to read all of these by the end of May, and I'm reading at about 2 books a month, so I'm a little bit behind, but the Agatha Christie book I think is just, one of the flights I'll read it. But yeah, I'm very excited to be reading this in particular out of all of the books I've spoken about. Now, something I actually quite like about this TBR I've got thus far is 3 of the authors are women, and 2 of the books are centered primarily around female characters, and that's quite nice, because recently I've been reading a lot of books written by men and mostly surrounding male characters. Not that there is, one is better than the other, it's just a very different perspective when you read characters written by men and then written by women, especially if they're straight men and straight women. It's a very different perspective. Like if it was a queer man writing a book, it would be different to a straight man writing a book, obviously. So, and neither is better than the other, but it'll be a very different perspective, especially on female characters, because I'll be honest, a lot of male writers don't know how to write women very well. As someone who, was a screenwriter at one point, I can attest to that. You know, I struggled writing believable female characters just because of the society we live in, obviously. But I'm actually excited that, you know, 2 of the books are primarily centered around female characters, and then 3 of the books are written by women. And again, I think all 4 of these books are from different parts of the world. One is from Korea, one is from England, one is from Japan, and one is based in Pakistan from a British Pakistani writer. So I'm actually very excited for that. It's nice to have a little bit more diversity in my reading. I'm not going to read any non-fiction because I've been reading a lot of non-fiction recently, and 1, it's a slog to read non-fiction for me, and 2, non-fiction's been really depressing me as of late, and, you know, understandably so. You know, stuff is hard in the world and people have it worse off than me, but, you know, for my mental health I want to read some fiction books, although, you know, all of these look like they're going to be really harrowing. Maybe not the Poirot one, but the other 3 look like they're going to be scarring and sad for other reasons. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these 4 books. Comment down below. If you have, let me know your opinions, spoiler-free please. And if you haven't, are you going to check out any of these? It'd be cool if anyone's going to read these alongside me. But yeah, thank you for watching. I don't know if there'll be a video next week because I'm on holiday, and if there isn't, I'll do like a vlog video afterwards of what I'm reading, which would be cool. I'm going to Denmark and Sweden, so that would be nice. But yeah, thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share the video with a friend or family member, and hey, I hope you read a great book today. And hopefully it doesn't make you cry, unless you want it to make you cry.